Alright, let's talk about Lorehold. So, the first video I talked about Prismari. This is the second video, and yeah, this is the third time I'm recording it because I'm dumb and forgot to zoom in, so everything was impossible to read. And let's not even talk about the first time. Okay, so what is Lorehold? Lorehold is one of the colleges of Strixhaven. This is my take on the classroom setting that you could use for potentially running your classes out of. My intention with this classroom is that all of the classes in Lorehold would be run through this single classroom. That is a common theme. My intention with my setting is to have the classroom be this kind of cohort-based situation where students are essentially grouped together and kind of go through school as a unit and they follow each other through classrooms. And those cohorts are sort of based on the classes that you gravitate towards. Um, don't worry about the logistics of that. It just works out. Don't worry about how. It just does. It's great. That's magical schools for you. Anyway, so in my mind, the Lorehold classroom is this cool idea where instead of being a fixed place, kind of either each term or each school year, students are actually placed into some sort of ruin or place of historic interest, and that's actually where the class takes place. All of the classes for that term take place in this ruin or place of interest, with your schoolwork actually being done in that place as well. And then your additional tasks, or like kind of the stuff you do in the class to help you get better or understand the world of magical archaeology, as Lorehold essentially is, being this college of order and chaos, studying the history of magic in the world. Uh, you refine your skills through these three activities, and this is kind of this activity breakdown is common amongst all of the college classrooms that I've worked on so far. So if you saw the Prismari video, this structure shouldn't be strange to you. So the first thing you do is you have to excavate artifacts. You actually have to get things out of the ground or the wall or wherever they might be. And the first way you have to do that is actually with sleight of hand. So you don't get to use magic right off the bat. You got to do things the hard way, and then after you get access to magic, you can start using magic to make things easier. Now, pardon me, I did notice actually while recording previous versions that I have a slight uh, error here. I have sections about making the DCs earlier, and they're just shifted off. So as you learn the magic from that you unlock by doing this task, which in this case is I have Gust and Mage Hand. The idea being here that you learn spells after doing excavations, identifications, or contextualizations, which are these three blocks. And then whether you decide to like unlock both of these after 5 successes or one at a time is totally up to you. I kind of left it up to the open with an exception. We'll get to that later though. But I also have this caveat that at the discretion of the DM, if the player has some idea for some like other spell that you could use to excavate stuff with, like all the power to them. The idea is not to lock them out of things. I would just mention to keep the power of these spells. You might want to keep fairly relatively low based on the activity. So like these are probably first level and cantrips, maybe first, second, third level, and then you can get into your fourth, fifth level for the higher level activities. You don't really things might get kind of loopy if you go too far off that. I would imagine, just based on the DC and how early people get access to spells, etc. But so yeah, the simply put, the skill DC for the sleight of hand check is 10 plus 2 times a year. So when you're first year, it's 12. Second year, 14. So it gets you'll still do this similar work as you gear up to the harder stuff, even in your latest years. But it gets easier and easier and easier because prospectively you're leveling up and getting better and getting more spells, etc. Um, Now, after you excavate things long enough, you'll be granted, or maybe asked is the better way of putting it, to start identifying things, which you can probably guess the spell you get from that. And as you're identifying things, the idea is you're rolling investigation checks first. You don't just get access to the identify spell. Even if you have it, you won't be allowed to use it. The idea is you gotta do things the hard way first. You gotta learn to actually figure out what things are with books and references, etc. And then after you kind of know how hard the world can be, you can use magic to make things easier, so you appreciate it more. And the DC goes up by 2, so now first year is 14, then 16, then 18. And you can see we're hitting that 20 as a fifth year student. Things are getting pretty high and difficult. And this should actually, so this is what I was saying, this should actually say identifies as opposed to Gust or Mage Hand. But same thing here, the idea being like, hey, if a student can think of, or a player can think of a different spell that would be cool to use to help you identify stuff that isn't literally the identify spell, that's cool. I'm all for it. Do that stuff. And then finally, after you have identified enough stuff, you get into the world of actually contextualizing it. So it's one thing to like know what a thing is and what it does. It's in my mind, it's a completely different thing to actually contextualize it, place it in history, know why it existed, what it was being used for, um, who might have been using it, etc. So now you're rolling history and religion. DC's gone up by 2, and now we're getting access to legend lore if we succeed. And this is where this college gets unique. So no other college has something like this. After you learn legend lore and have unlocked kind of the highest spell you can essentially get from being a Lorehold student, you start finding magic items you're allowed to keep, and you can just keep doing that over and over and over again. So there are each college kind of has a different mechanic around repeating the highest levels of difficulty. But in the case of Lorehold, it's stuff. You get stuff. If you're a treasure goblin, this is the school for you because you will just get stuff. And then if you graduate from Lorehold, I'll skip mastery just for a sec. Your graduation gift, quite simply, is you gain 2 additional attunement slots, which is probably super broken, but that's how I play D&D. I like it to be as fun and stupid as possible at high levels, because it's pretty hard to balance anyway, so you might as well just make it ridiculous and enjoyable for everybody. Mastery skills. So this section is very similar in all of the schools, so I'll just go over it quickly, which is essentially you use history, sleight of hand, investigation, and religion, and when you each term that you graduate, you can put a point into one of these, and then you get a +1. If you hit +3, your next point will make you proficient. And then you can get +3 up to +3 again, and then your next point would make you an expert or give you expertise, and then you're maxed out. You can't go any higher than expertise. And then also you have this additional little for fun flavor block here, which is you can switch history or religion the first time you put a point into them to be based on wisdom instead of intelligence. This is just to make some of the skills more fun for classes that wouldn't traditionally be good at them or are kind of punished for being good at them. So if you're a cleric, for example, you want to be a clerical archaeologist, you're really interested in religious artifacts. Now you can make religion or history wisdom based, and now you're kind of aligned with what you imagine your character to be and what the mechanics of D&D allowed. So it's just sort of a fun twist to kind of give players a little bit of additional agency. This last block here is just my tie-in. In my setting, I have Ravnica and Strixhaven kind of alongside of each other. So I have this idea that Rokarik, this Boros Legionnaire from one of the guilds of Ravnica, the Boros Legion, went to Strixhaven, and one of the things you can do is get a scholarship, the Rokarik Scholarship, which will then give you a free ride to get your degree at one of the colleges of Strixhaven. In my setting, Ravnica is very nepotistic, oligarchical, and corrupt, and very expensive to send students to Strixhaven. The way Strixhaven works is the cost to go is based off the plane you're coming from. And in Ravnica, it's paywalled pretty horrendously. So scholarships are a mechanism to circumvent an otherwise horrible, horrible system of education. Not Strixhaven, though. Strixhaven's great. It's just those Ravnicans. They're assholes. So that's basically it. I think I'm going to leave it there. If you would like this video, if you want more of the stuff, I'll leave the links obviously down at the bottom so you can go check this out. Thank you for making it to the end. If you would like to support the page or support me here, you can go to my coffee page and leave a donation. Every dollar helps, but no pressure. I'm just happy to have people to use this stuff. That's why I do this. The site is completely authored by myself, both in terms of the content and actually the code. It's also coded by myself as well. So thank you very much for watching, and hopefully I will see you guys again.